Welcome to Learning to Glow, a show about wellness, skin health, and self-development. I'm your host, Jess. I'm a mom, entrepreneur, and skincare expert. I'm so excited to share tips on how to achieve healthy skin and bring amazing guests in the field of health, fitness, aging gracefully, and personal growth. Let's explore all different ways we can take care of ourselves as women, both inside and out, to truly shine. So let's get glowing. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. So happy you're here with me today. We have a really great episode with Nagina Abdullah. She is a weight loss expert, and she's here to share her metabolic boosting tips. I love what she shared with us today. I've actually been implementing her tips since we recorded this conversation because they are amazing. She talks all about adding different spices and foods into our diets to not only boost our metabolism, but also to add flavor. This just helps making this healthier lifestyle of healthy eating sustainable because it tastes good. And she talks a little bit about this in the episode as well. She also shares just tons of helpful examples as well that you will love. She is offering a free program upcoming where she shares a simple 5-step plan to naturally boost your metabolism through delicious food. So this is a 5-day event and it's completely free. I'll share all the details as well and the links to get signed up in the show notes, but definitely take advantage of this. She has so many great helpful tips and recipes. It looks amazing. I hope you love this episode and get a few ideas, as I did, for how to spruce up your meals and drinks in a fun, healthy way. Enjoy. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. We are so lucky today. We have Nagina Abdullah with us today, and you are a weight loss expert. We need you. You're also the creator of masalabody.com. So if you could just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you do. We could start from there. Welcome to the show.
Yes, Jess, I'm just so excited today. So I'm Nagina Abdullah. I'm the founder of Masalabody.com. I help women in midlife boost their metabolism and lose weight, especially when everything that they've been trying no longer works because things actually change. So I help women boost their metabolism so that they create a healthy lifestyle and keep this weight off for good. And so that it never comes back because they're enjoying the healthy food that they're eating.
I'm so excited. Thank you. Thanks for introducing yourself. I would love to start with your background and how did you come to find this work and helping others? I'm so excited to talk about the metabolism part because I feel like a lot of women that I speak to, especially in midlife, I'm in midlife, that are just that is one of the number one complaints I hear. My metabolism has slowed and
Yes.
it's like a huge problem. But before we get there, tell us how you got to be doing this work.
Well, I actually struggled with my weight and with my sugar cravings for my entire life. And I tried every single diet that was out there, from Atkins to Weight Watchers multiple times to South Beach to eating less and exercising more. And no matter what I did, I was never able to feel confident in my body like I was the healthiest version of myself. All the advice out there felt restrictive and deprivational. So even though I would lose some weight on those diets, the moment I would hit a number or a size in my jeans that I felt pretty good in, I would just start doing all the things that I had stopped doing to get to that point because it was so uncomfortable to live like that I wanted to just eat everything and just get back to my regular life. I realized I didn't want to live like this anymore. And so I went back to a lot of science that we have available, but I had it available to me because my background and my degree is in molecular and cell biology from UC Berkeley. So I started looking at some of the scientific research and started looking into ways to increase my metabolism rather than restrict what I was eating. And I found that there were certain foods and certain ingredients that we could add to our food that increases our metabolism and actually keeps us more full. And so I started doing some of those things and my food started tasting amazing. I started adding spices because I grew up in a traditional Indian background. So I was using spices that were recommended in some of this scientific research. My food tasted amazing. My metabolism was getting higher. And I actually lost 40 pounds in 9 months. And I got
Wow.
to the most fit version of myself after two children. It was actually 20 pounds below where I was pre pregnancy. And at that point, I realized, oh my gosh, it doesn't have to feel so hard to lose this weight. It can actually be fulfilling and fun and easy. And I didn't want to do anything else after I lost that weight except keep eating that same way. And so, that's really how I got started. But once I got into midlife, I did see the differences. Things started changing. I actually gained an extra 10 pounds, like all of a sudden. I didn't know why. I had done zero things differently, but I started realizing that then it was even more important to do some of the concepts that we're going to talk about today, and that I'll share, in terms of working on eating enough. In fact, eating more of the right food so that your body and your hormones have what it needs. And so I started implementing those changes and lost that weight. And now I've also coached over 1,500 women in midlife to lose the weight that they've gained, whether it was in midlife or before, and keep it off for good. And it actually works because it's real food, and it's a gentle approach rather than a restrictive approach.
Yeah, and I think one thing I've learned doing this podcast is that that restrictive approach, it's like so ingrained in us that we have to do that to see results, and that's just not true. And I think especially when we get to midlife, like a lot of the clients that you work with, I think the frustration is really strong for a lot of people because they're like, all of a sudden it's not as easy to lose the weight. Or if they're like, okay, they see a difference where they didn't have this issue before. So I'd like to start with metabolism, and especially in our midlife, because, I think that's where we feel it the most. And what are some things that when you were doing your research and learning about how we can boost our metabolism, what are some of the things that you started to learn about?
Okay, so I'll tell you some of the most important ones, and these are so easy to implement. And I'll start with the easiest, and that is to add metabolism boosting spices to what you're eating. And so, one of the first things that I started doing was I started adding cinnamon to my coffee. And this really was the first step in me losing this 40 pounds. And that was because the cinnamon, what it does is it gives you that sweetness that we crave often, that usually either comes from sugar or artificial sweeteners or sweetened creamers. And by consuming those things, either our insulin is increasing if we're having sugar or sugary creamers, which means that our body is going to regulate our blood sugar levels because it's going to have gone up. It's going to bring it down, and we're going to store more fat, even with some sugar in our coffee or some creamer that's sweet. So instead of doing that, I wanted to still get that sweetness. And so cinnamon, what that does is it gives you that sweet taste, but it's so natural. It doesn't spike your insulin. And so as a result, you store less fat, but you also curb your sugar cravings in the morning. And so adding that cinnamon to my coffee, and then also going to a non-sweetened coffee, like I used to use a French vanilla creamer, I started using regular milk, and then I started just being okay with the cinnamon. And so, really, just being conscious of where my sugar was coming from and replacing that with cinnamon really made a difference. And cinnamon is something that's great also to add on fruit in your tea because it actually counteracts sugar and it helps bring your blood sugar down, meaning that you are storing less fat. So, that's one of the key things, is adding some flavorful spices, starting with a sweet spice like cinnamon. Now, a few other spices that are also great are turmeric, which is really good to add in your eggs because eggs are yellow and turmeric is
Ooh,
a golden, beautiful yellow color.
I love that.
And yes, it's so easy. Just sprinkle a little bit. You really only need a fourth to a half teaspoon of turmeric, and it's a very mild flavor. So it is not really adding any flavor to your eggs. It's just giving you the benefits of it. And the benefits are from the compound in turmeric, which is called curcumin. And curcumin is very anti inflammatory. And so, from a weight loss perspective, what that means is that it helps to alleviate the puffiness that shows up in our face, that also can show up in our belly. It's really decreasing inflammation all over, which is very common with a lot of the foods that are eaten. So turmeric is another great one. And it's great to combine that with black pepper because black pepper increases the absorption of turmeric by 2000%. In terms of the compound in black pepper. And black pepper itself actually helps burn more calories than a 20-minute walk because of the spices in it. And so that's a really great combo to have in eggs. Just have some turmeric, some black pepper, and any other spices that you like, even salt, or and then that's it. One more on the spicy side of spices is cayenne pepper. And cayenne pepper increases calorie burning, directly increases metabolism. And that's really an easy thing to add on vegetables, on any proteins like meats or beans, or also on your eggs if you like spicier eggs. So those are some quick and easy ways to increase metabolism. And then I'll just pause for a moment, but then I'd love to share a specific food that is really important to add as well.
I love these spices. This is so fun. I know my mom has been putting cinnamon in her coffee forever. And I never really thought about it in the way that you're describing it. I didn't know all of that about cinnamon. So that is such a great way to flavor your coffee in such a natural way too. And I love the other spices that you mentioned. I was doing for a long time like a ginger cayenne turmeric shot every morning. Like I might need to have to get back into that because there's so many benefits to these spices.
Yes, there are. There absolutely are. And the most amazing thing is there's so many benefits that are natural and they also help healthy food taste good, which is pretty hard to do sometimes. A lot of the weight loss or healthy recipes that we see out there are somewhat bland or without that much flavor, and the lack of taste makes it hard to want to eat healthy food. And so having spices makes you actually want to eat it. And that's important for a lifestyle because you don't want to force yourself to do something. You want your body to actually crave these foods.
Yeah. So maybe you could share what you were going to talk about next, which is like more foods that help with this.
Yes, absolutely. So more of the foods. So actually the number one food that increases metabolism, and this is so important for especially women age 40 and above to really prioritize, though this is always important, but it becomes even more important in midlife for a number of reasons, and that is protein. So, adding more protein to your day, starting with breakfast. And so, the reason this is so important is because protein directly increases our metabolism and actually helps us increase our muscle mass in our body, even if we're not working out. And I've seen this over and over with my clients where they track their muscle mass and we see how much protein they're eating and we see their muscle mass increasing and their body fat decreasing. And this one change of adding a protein serving to your breakfast will make you feel more satiated and will really increase your metabolism from the morning right away. And this is the one change that women have shared that have been like the kickstart to losing weight is really adding protein at breakfast, because it's really common to either skip breakfast or to have more of a fruit and something else at breakfast, something really fast, versus having a true breakfast with protein, with fruit as well, with having some other sides, and having that giving yourself that moment to feed yourself and take care of yourself, because that's what we do with food we really can take care of ourselves in a healthy way. So I'll give you some examples of protein, starting with breakfast. Now, as I said, this is number one, and we actually need more protein than we think we need. So we actually do, it's important to think about it. But once you start adding protein, what's surprising is that you will actually have less sugar cravings. Your cravings will decrease on the sugar side. And it doesn't even seem like it's the same conversation, but actually it is. Because what's happening is that when our body is having sugar cravings, we're feeling like we're wanting something sweet, or we could want something salty, but it's still a carb that breaks down to sugar. What that means is that we actually haven't fed our body enough protein, and our body's craving protein, but it's screaming in the language of sugar and the language of sweet because we've taken too long to feed ourselves.
Mm.
So if you proactively eat more protein, and this is one of my key mantras, is you can eat more, and another mantra is protein more. If you eat more and you eat more protein as well as other healthier foods, you will actually no longer crave the unhealthier foods. So you're not fighting this battle of weight loss and of getting healthier and feeling more energy. It's just easy. Like you're so satisfied, your body loves it. And so, some of these really great proteins to have are things like in the morning, of course, eggs. But what I recommend is having 2 eggs with a half to a 1 cup of egg whites, because then you're adding in a boost of protein from the egg whites, but you're getting the fat that you need from the eggs. You're also getting enough cholesterol from the eggs so that you don't want to keep adding in eggs. And, to give some perspective, 1 egg is 6 grams of protein, and we ideally need 30 grams minimum at each meal of protein. And so if you have 2 eggs, that's 12 grams of protein, but you wouldn't want to have like 4 to 6 eggs, because that's going to make it, that's going to really put you over in terms of there's a lot of fat in eggs that adds up, though 2 is actually fine, as well as cholesterol. So a way to hack that is to add that half to 1 cup of egg whites, which is going to get you to just about 30 grams of protein. Now, another thing that you could do if you eat Greek yogurt or cottage cheese is to have the 2 eggs with a side of Greek yogurt, or have it with the side of cottage cheese. And the cottage cheese or the yogurt is about 15 to 20 grams. So that's going to get you at 30 or even a little bit more, which is actually good. So really adding those to your breakfast, thinking about that, other breakfast items could be smoked salmon. You could have something that you had for dinner for breakfast. So add that protein at breakfast, and then also prioritize having it at lunch or dinner. And, for those of you that eat meat, it's fairly simple. It's just about adding a meat to your lunch or dinner, or a fish. And for those that don't eat meat, using things like lentils, but adding hemp seeds into the lentils, because that boosts your protein by 10 grams, which is very important. Or by having tofu once in a while, or also by doing things like adding nutritional yeast, which is a healthy protein, on top of your salads or on top of other foods, and finding vegan alternatives. Like there is a vegan Greek yogurt, which is 15 grams of protein, called Kite Hill. So once you start adding in protein, everything changes. Like this is how our body shape changes. And you don't only lose fat, but you actually become more lean. You have curves, because you actually are building muscle, and it starts with just what we're eating. And protein actually digests more slowly, so it makes you full for longer. And this is one of the key reasons that protein is absolutely a must at every single meal, because if you don't have protein, you'll feel hungry like 30 minutes to an hour after you eat, and you're going to eat double the calories. So if you eat protein, you had like say 1 chicken breast or 1 salmon, a salmon fillet. You eat that with some vegetables on the side. You can have some healthy carbs, what I call slimming carbs, on the side. And then you have a full meal, and you're satisfied all the way until your next meal. And this is how you know that you're eating the right way. Now, you can also add some spices on those proteins, like I was talking about. You could do some cayenne pepper if you like spicy, but if you don't want spicy, you could do cumin, which is great to burn belly fat. Coriander, which decreases bloating, add that on. It's a tangy flavor. Cumin is a smoky flavor. Add that with some salt and pepper, and you have some great flavoring. And so, this is all about just knowing how to combine and how to use real foods. But it really comes back to the mantras that I share, which are you can eat more. And it's incredibly important for women in midlife to eat more than we think we need, because a lot of us are eating too little, because we feel like we need to eat less in order to lose weight. And it's actually like the formula flips when we're in midlife. It changes. And I felt that when I gained that extra 10 pounds, and I saw that I really needed to add that extra protein, make sure I knew that I was getting that protein every day and feeling full all throughout the day. So protein more is the other one. So you can eat more and protein more. If you remember those 2 things and get started with that, you will see your metabolism start to jump up.
I really liked that you mentioned that, because you see the memes online, and it's like, I had like some lettuce for lunch and then 47 Oreos at night. It's because these women are thinking, oh, I won't eat very much during the day and I'll try to have as few calories as possible. And then your body is like, please feed me. And you end up overdoing it and not on the right things. Like you said, like if you're not getting that protein and you're going to be craving the sugar. So I think that's such a good point. And I love your examples because I think a lot of times people get stuck with, what do I eat for breakfast? And especially like, I, for example, can't eat eggs. I'm allergic to eggs. So it's like, okay, well, I can't eat eggs. Like what else is there? Where there's so many things. And like you even said, have something that you had for dinner for breakfast. Then that way you're getting your protein and it doesn't, I think we've been like so conditioned to think, okay, breakfast looks a certain way and that's it. But really you can do so much more for breakfast. When I first started my wellness journey, I had already been in the skincare industry for years, working on client skin and as an educator for multiple skincare brands. When I learned about how the toxins in our personal care and beauty products could have a negative impact on our health, I knew I needed to make a change. I was used to the result-driven products that I was working with, and I was not happy with the natural products on the market at that time. Although they were safer and cleaner, they did not meet my expectations for results. I created Simply Just Skincare to deliver the results my clients demanded from their products while using natural, toxin-free ingredients. You can check out my clients' results and reviews on my website, simplyjustskincare.com. In 30 days, my clients have reported more hydrated skin, less appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, and more of an overall glow. Our top sellers include our Repair Toner, our Hydrating Undo Serum with hyaluronic acid, and more. I am offering my listeners 20% off their first order with code PODCAST. Check it out in the link in my show notes to get glowing today. Since this is a good place to ask, I wanted to get your thoughts on fasting because everybody's talking about it. I know that me personally, if I don't have breakfast, I will get sick. Like I have to eat something in the morning. And yet you hear all these people talking about fasting and it's so important and don't eat till noon. And I'd love to hear what you think about that.
Oh, yes. Okay, good question. And I actually have a controversial answer to what is being shared out there. So I'm actually excited to talk about this with you and share what I've seen. And I've actually seen evidence of this as I've coached over 1,500 clients and I watch the patterns. I look at what is working better, what people are responding to. And, I have many people that do come in to work with me and they have been intermittent fasting or they want to intermittent fast or fast. And so we work that in because we meet people where they are and we help them. But what I've seen goes back to what I was sharing before, which is in midlife, it's extremely important that we eat enough to keep our metabolism high, to fuel our hormones, to build our muscle mass. And with intermittent fasting, what can very easily happen is by skipping an entire meal, it's very easy to eat significantly less calories than our body needs for the day. And so as a result, we stay stuck. Because if you don't eat enough, now our body is like in survival mode. So it's not going to burn fat. It's actually just going to stay at the same place because it wants you, because it wants to, because it can't, it's not, it doesn't have what it needs to actually function well. So it's just waiting for the next meal. And so I can tell you, I have seen fasting work for people, and this is the specific case that this is happening, is that fasting will work for people that actually are overeating and especially doing snacking at night. And so they need that barrier and they need that structure in order to stop them from doing it. And so it's helpful for those people that are kind of eating at night too much and they need to follow rules. But what I can tell you is a healthier way to do this is to actually eat enough. And so if you're eating enough at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, then what will happen is that you won't have those nighttime cravings. And if you do have the nighttime cravings, there's a lot of healthier options that are nice swaps that would make it easier to be able to get through the night and still be healthy. And so there has been there are studies that show that the fasting helps to balance hormones and it can be effective for that. But the first thing to balance hormones, the first most important thing is to eat enough of the right foods and to fuel your body. So that's where, for some, like I said, for some people that need to have the structure and rules, then that can work. But it's very important to make sure that you're eating enough. So you're eating the equivalent of 3 meals of healthy foods that are nutrient dense.
Okay, that's really good. It's something that I was doing, and yeah, taking out breakfast, I feel like wasn't a good way to start my day, and especially because I wake up so early, and I like to exercise in the morning, so I just felt like it was off. But I also don't eat at night, so I don't like. I'm not a big snacker, so at night when I am done eating dinner, that's it for me. So I was wondering, like, should I stop like early and still have my dinner but just stop early? And that's hard to do sometimes. There was a book that I read and they were saying like stop at like 4 p.m. or something, and I'm like, by the time I drop my kids off and then come home and make dinner, that's impossible. Like there's no way I'd even be able to eat that early. So I was like, oh gosh, I hope, I was thinking if I did that, it would be really difficult. But I like to eat pretty early. I always make jokes. We eat with the senior citizens because that's just with kids and everything. We eat pretty early anyway. So
Yep.
I'm like, it's fine if I'm done eating by 6. I'm sure that's pretty good to not worry about like getting it any earlier than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, a lot of the things that you're saying are, many of them are myths because it's dependent on the kind of food that you're eating. So if you're eating healthy carbs during your day and maybe you're eating more protein at night and healthy fats and vegetables, you could eat at like 9 p.m. and go to sleep at 10 and it wouldn't even matter. In fact, there's some certain healthy carbs that are things like lentils and beans that don't actually spike your blood sugar. And if you ate those at night, it wouldn't matter. And so this is really about like a lot of the information that's out in the world is based on general advice, but it really depends on you. And if you get that knowledge, you can make things work for your schedule. And so, I always advise that around 4 o'clock, especially for moms or for anyone that's like switching from their daytime job to their evening, that's a big time for cravings. And that specific time is one of those times where you actually want to preempt your hunger and have a healthy snack at that time. And that can really help to have that healthy snack and then have that nutritious dinner once you are with your family and once you're eating, even if it's at 6 o'clock. You could have like a smaller snack at 4 o'clock, but then you're not tempted for a lot of things that happen in the mid evening times. And one more thing I wanted to share with you, Jess, is because you said that you're allergic to eggs.
Mhm.
Well, a great suggestion to have in the morning that's really great for a busy mom and a busy working woman is to have a smoothie in the morning and to make sure that you're getting protein in that, either with Greek yogurt or with protein powder, which I absolutely recommend as something that every woman can do once a day. And it is healthy, there's nothing wrong with it. It gives you that boost of protein as long as you're using a healthy protein powder that doesn't have a lot of sugar in it. And so, you can make a metabolism boosting morning smoothie, which has things like protein powder, strawberries, spinach. Flaxseed is a healthy fat that keeps you full, and you can use almond milk or any other kind of non dairy milk or water. And this is actually my recipe for my mint and berry metabolism boosting smoothie, where I also add 5 or 6 sprigs of mint, and then that actually reduces sugar cravings. That's the benefit of mint. So
Ooh.
just blend that up, and it's like you can take it to go. You can have it right after your workout, or whenever is good for you. It's pretty fast once you have all the ingredients like in one place in your fridge and freezer. Then it's easy just to grab them.
I love that. That smoothie that you said, that's like almost all the ingredients that I love to put in my smoothie, but I have like this wild amount of mint in my backyard and I'm always like, what
Oh,
should I do with this? That is such a good idea. I'm writing this down. So I am going to do that because I have so much mint and I put it in my water sometimes because I love it. I love the taste of it, but I never thought to put it in a smoothie. Oh, that sounds so good. I love that. Okay, so since you mentioned it, and I want to talk about this a little bit more because I think this is a huge issue for women in midlife. And you kind of touched upon a little bit of why, but when we get enough protein in, you said our sugar cravings will naturally go down a little bit. But is there any other things that you can recommend for that? Because I know a lot of times, with our hormones or whatever the case may be, like or maybe we're just eating it more than we should. And we're like, that makes you crave it even more. But what are some things we can do for that? Like as far as those sugar cravings go?
Yes. Oh my gosh. This is like a really important topic because it can feel like it can feel like an ongoing daily battle. So first of all, having that added protein, really following what I call the 4-part fat burning food framework. So that you're eating enough, you're having protein more, you're having veggies that are called tasty veggies. So using the spices that also it actually satisfies your brain receptors that would usually be craving sugar, but you're giving it some flavor through spices, having tasty veggies, and then also having a slimming carb or a fat on the side is really going to give you what you need to be satisfied. But sometimes those sugar cravings come up and we just need something to resolve that in the moment. And so I'll give you a few really, really easy, very effective options. And so a couple really great snacks, for example, and I'm saying this because I want to say it in this order because you actually will not have the sugar cravings as much at all if you eat according to the fat burning food framework and have that protein more, the tasty veggies, and the other things that I mentioned. You're going to be like proactively eating enough, which is very important. And then the sugar cravings will be less. But once you do, and if you do have them, so a really good snack to have that works so well for so many women is to have an apple with peanut butter. So I recommend having a small apple because it does have sugar, but a small apple is nice. It's sweet. But then you have a 1 to 2 tablespoons of peanut butter with it because what that does is the sugar from the apple is going to spike your blood sugar. It will cause some fat storage. You'll actually feel it. It'll actually happen in your belly. And this is happening for people that are having a lot of fruit in their smoothies because it is adding up and creating that fat storage, but you can still have fruit if you know how to have it. And what that means is that when you have it, you want to pair it with a healthy fat or with a protein because that slows the absorption of the apple. And so the apple, you would have the healthy fat is the peanut butter. You could also have nuts. You could have a cheese stick. You could have Greek yogurt with it, something else that's slowing the absorption of the apple. So you're pairing it and you're eating more, getting back to my eating more, but you're actually not gaining fat. You're boosting your metabolism because you're doing this the right way. So an apple with peanut butter is one example that a lot of women really like. And you can actually buy these peanut butter packets that are called Justin's peanut butter packets or any other peanut butter packets that you can have in your purse, in your bag. And they have exactly 2 tablespoons of them. You can literally just open it and eat it from there. This is a great option to have like if you're driving kids around or if you're on the go and you have that apple with you too. So that you can also do a celery with peanut butter, which is full of fiber and less sugar. And you can also do a Greek yogurt with berries. So berries is a low sugar fruit. And what would even make this Greek yogurt even better is if you added some cinnamon on it. So you could
Mm.
either buy, yeah, and that's like so tasty. It's like and this is about like indulging in our weight loss, like feeling good about our weight loss, enjoying our weight loss, and enjoying what we're eating. Because if you can enjoy it, then you will want to keep doing it. And the last thing that I want anyone to do is to get to that place where they're happy and then start doing everything that they had stopped doing before, which is exactly what usually happens. Instead, if you find this way of enjoying the journey, you'll want it to be your lifestyle. Like you will love it so much more than what you've been doing before. Doing that Greek yogurt, putting some fresh berries in it, adding some cinnamon is amazing. If you want a shortcut, you can also buy the Greek yogurt that's already has some fruit in it, as long as the sugar is not too high. One of the ones that I recommend right now is called Oikos 20. And you can get the berry version or any of the fruit versions because they're significantly low. They're not too high in sugar. They're 20 grams of protein. That's amazing. It tastes so good. And if you want to add some cinnamon on it, you absolutely can do that too. So having that is also great as a late night snack because it replaces ice cream. It's like creamy. So, but instead you're having Greek yogurt. So you're actually getting more protein, but you're getting that creamy feeling. You can have the fruit in it as well. So that's another, that's a another option, is to have that. And then another craving that is slightly sweet, but a lot of women crave this at night, and that is wine. And so wine is something that we crave, like as a kind of a wind down. It's like a self-care moment that we want to take care of ourselves. It's finally our time. And so we often look to just give ourselves that with things like wine and ice cream and peanut butter. Those are some common things, in chocolate. So instead of wine, what I recommend is that you have something like a cinnamon cardamom tea. And if you actually make a cinnamon tea yourself, it's going to be so delicious. You can use a cinnamon stick, ginger, which is great for digestion, and boil that in hot water. Actually, I have a recipe I'll be sharing on how you can find it, what I call a fire tea, that actually fires your belly fat away while you're drinking it, because of the benefits of what you're drinking. So the fire tea is great. And then also having a turmeric tea at night, because turmeric, as I mentioned earlier, is very anti inflammatory. And what that means is it's very relaxing to our body. And so our body really relaxes nicely. And so it's just like wine, but it's healthier, and you don't have that feeling the next morning of feeling bloated and feeling tired, like the brain fog that often comes with drinking wine. So those are a couple replacements. And if you don't want to make the turmeric tea yourself, you can buy turmeric tea bags. You can buy cinnamon tea bags. They're really, really great and really easy to do that. So those are a few different options. But I recommend, anytime you're buying something, instead of being worried about the calories, look at the sugar content in what you're buying and try to find things that are less than 5 grams per serving of sugar content, because we have to have calories. Like, we actually need calories, but what is this calorie made of? And that's really what we want to look at. So if you can err on less sugar, and then if possible more protein, then that's really, really great.
I really love that you said that, because I think we in our society have been just, it's ingrained in us, like, what's the calorie? How many calories can we have? That's like, really, a lot of times I think now more people are looking at protein, but if you're looking at something, it's like, what are the calories? And we're not taught to look at the sugar. And that's such a good point. And it's something that's a really big takeaway for me, because that's not even something that I glance at. So if you look at something and it has like low calories or no fat, it's usually higher in the sugar. So, and that's not what we're going for here. So I love these ideas too. Like, first of all, I can't wait to, after this call, I'm having some Greek yogurt, because that just sounds so amazing. And I love adding cinnamon to it. I never thought about adding cinnamon to my Greek yogurt. That sounds so good.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Yes, yes. Well, good. I'm so glad. Those are some easy protein boosters, and we don't have to spend time on it. And, one of those a day is fine. There's sometimes, I do get questions about having dairy
Mm-hmm.
in our diet.
Yeah.
And I do recommend having less dairy and really keeping your dairy content very, very low. But I make an exception for Greek yogurt and cottage cheese, because they have been pasteurized in a different way, where there's not the sugar that is in other dairy products. And that's what really gives it that problem of being unhealthy. That's lactose. And so cottage cheese and Greek yogurt are higher in protein and lower in sugar. And that's why, even if you feel like your dairy, you're not really good with dairy, you might be able to eat those things. And those could be the only dairy items you have in your day.
I
And that could
I
work.
do I have a question about that. So I've seen, because those are, I agree with you. Like, I'm okay when I eat those things, but other types of dairy like are more troublesome for me. But I have seen in the stores lactose free cottage cheese and lactose free Greek yogurt. So do you think that's a better option?
So lactose free, I mean, it depends on it. I mean, it's looking at the sugar content, so it should be
Yeah.
lower, but it's also about looking at the protein, because sometimes you're going to get less protein with that too.
Mhm.
So usually it's lower lactose that are in the Greek yogurt and in the cottage cheese anyway, but lactose free is for people that absolutely can't eat it at all. So it's like testing it and seeing what would work better for your body, and also just seeing where can you get the most protein from.
Okay, that's super helpful. This has been amazing. Like you have shared so many amazing things with us. I'm like super excited to get into my spice drawer because of all of your recommendations, but I would love now if you could share. I know everybody's going to want to learn more about you because this was so helpful and you have a program too. So if you could share it with us how they can find you, how they can work with you, that would be amazing.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you can find me at my website, masalabody.com. And that's where I have lots of resources, really great success stories of women that have followed the fat burning food framework and really changed their lifestyle, lost anywhere from 10 to over 90 pounds and kept it off for good. And done it very, very quickly a lot of it within 8 weeks, not depending on the weight that they have to lose. And so masalabody.com is where you can find me. Now, I have a really special event that's coming up that I would love to invite you to. It is called the 5-Day Metabolism Boost for Women in Midlife. And we're going to be talking about a 5-step plan to boost your metabolism, starting with an exact metabolism boosting morning routine. And I'm going to be talking about how to get off sugar without feeling tired or restricted, and then giving you very specific examples of the 4-part fat burning food framework and how you can really go through your day knowing what to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner to burn fat and also feel satiated and feel good about what you're eating. So this is we have the link below. You can click on that link or head to masalabody.com/boost. And that's where you can get your spot for this upcoming 5-day metabolism boost. And then I'm also sharing one more special gift for you, and that is my sweet spice PDF. That's where you can find out more about my favorite sweet spice, including 5 ways to use it in your day that are not cooking, 3 health benefits, and then also the belly fat burning fire tea that fires your belly fat away using a couple spices. So it's super easy to make. You can make it for a couple days in advance and then just warm it up every single day. And that's at masalabody.com/sweet spice PDF. And we'll also have the link below. So those are some ways you can keep in touch with me. Once you join either of those, I'll send you some recipes and I'll send you some mindsets, and we'll just keep in touch about starting this journey on boosting your metabolism in a natural way.
This is so exciting. I'm definitely going to be doing the 5-day metabolism boost, and I really love drinking tea in the evening. I feel like just I embody wellness when I'm sitting on my couch having a tea and like having some time for myself. Like I think it's what you said about the wine is true. Like we've kind of just put it in our head that a lot of people, that's how you wind down. And really, you're not doing yourself any favors if you're trying to lose body fat with that nightly wine. So, looking at it in a different way and looking at having something that's actually going to nourish you and help support you and be relaxing and have that wellness component to it is so important. So, I can't wait to get that recipe as well. Thank you for sharing all of this wisdom with us. We are so grateful that you were here today.
Oh, thank you for having me. And I loved your questions and talking with you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please subscribe and review so we can reach more people who want to learn to glow alongside us. See you next time.